Learn graphic designs with me and start making money, creating flyers for brands and businesses because graphic designs are in high demand and that is what I'll be teaching you on this channel. So all my tech enthusiasts gather here, all my elective ICT students converge here because I have something amazing for you. My name is C. Maxwell and I welcome you to my YouTube channel, Maxi Multimedia. In this video tutorial, I will teach you how to design flyers for mobile phone business and dealers in Adobe Photoshop. But before we get started, take a look at this so that you know what I'm talking about. Now let me take you to my computer. This folder contains all my graphic design works. So let's see what is in there. Yes, as you can see, I have many folders stored in this folder. Okay, and these are folders storing many different graphic designs for different clients. I've got some funeral invitation cards stored in this folder. As you can see, I've grouped them. I've worked on several funeral invitation cards for different clients. I'm sorry to show you this, but I have to. Okay, is to let you know how graphic designs are in high demand. All right. I'm really sorry. Again, may their souls rest in peace. Guys, as you can see, graphic designs are in high demand and will continue to be in high demand because institutions, corporate bodies, businesses, and brands really need these graphic designs to promote their product and services. All right. They need flyers, banners, logos, and different publications to promote their products and services. So again, consider learning graphic design because the industry keeps growing. Now let's take a quick start. Launch Photoshop on your computer. I'll close this tab. This is the flyer I'll be designing with you guys. It looks stunning, right? Now, the first thing we need to do is to create a new document. So go to File on the menu bar, give it a click, and select New from the drop-down options. In the New Document dialog box, choose your document name. I'll call this Maxi Phone Hub. Set your width to 4 inches, height 5 inches, resolution 300 pixels per inch. Color mode RGB. For the color mode, you can choose to go with RGB or CMYK. And the difference between these two is that RGB color mode is best for screens, while CMYK is also perfect for digital print works. Okay, but as for me, I normally go with the RGB color mode. Go ahead and click on OK. The next thing we need to do is to bring in our guidelines. Hover your mouse cursor over the horizontal ruler, then click and drag on it to fetch the horizontal guideline like this. Then snap it to the center. Now step on the vertical ruler, then click and drag inward to fetch the vertical guideline and snap it to the center. The rationale behind using guidelines in Adobe Photoshop is to ensure accurate positioning and alignment. The guidelines also help you to snap your object or element accurately and precisely to other element or object in your document area. All right. So basically, that is what the guidelines do. And before you can get your guidelines in your document area in Photoshop, you need to activate them. By so doing, you go to View on the menu bar. Then you click to tick extra. Okay. Then you move to Show, and then you make sure you tick Guides, Canvas Guides, Smart Guides. Okay. So that you can always snap your element or objects in your document area more precisely and accurately. All right. Now, the next thing we will do is to bring in our element of design. Now, take a look at what I have done. Anything you can see in the project is actually an element. So the text, the pictures, the lines, the colors, all together are called elements. Okay. So these are our elements of design, and so we will be using same in this new project. All right, at this point, we will be introducing the rectangle tool. So go to your toolbox and click on your rectangle tool. Then step at the top left corner of your document, then click and drag to the center. All right, activate the move tool. Then adjust the size of your rectangle with the transform controls. So you can step on any of the transform controls and then you adjust. Then go to fill on the tool property bar, give it a click and choose gradient. All right, double click on the first color stop and choose blue. Now let's add some darkness. Click on OK. Double click on the second color stop and choose light blue. Click on OK. Now use the transform controls to resize your rectangle shape as required. Accept the changes from here. At this point, we will be creating a diagonal effect from our rectangle, like so. So position your mouse cursor on the bottom left anchor of the rectangle, then press down your control key, then click and drag inward with a reasonable distance. Yeah, I think this is cool. All right, let us commit the changes from here. All right, now press Ctrl and J on the keyboard to duplicate this element, and then come to your layer pane and select the first rectangle layer. Okay, then activate the rectangle tool again, then click on fill in the tool property box, double click on color picker, and then pick the light blue color from this point, then click on OK. Activate the move tool, then move it inward a little bit to any reasonable distance. I think this is cool. Now you will observe that we have given our first rectangle a light blue background color. Okay, and then we have given the copied rectangle element a gradient effect. So as you can see, in the gradient effect, we have two colors blending together, whereas in the first one, we have only one color. All right, so basically that's the difference. Now let us introduce another rectangle down here, as we have here. All right. So again, activate the rectangle tool in the toolbox, then click and drag from the left to the right, like so. Activate the move tool and adjust the height of this rectangle to meet your need. Step on this anchor and then drag in. Step on this anchor and drag in. Now let's commit the transformation from here. At this point, we will give this rectangle element this same gradient effect. All right, but we need to activate the rectangle tool. So activate it again. Go to fill on the tool property box, then click on gradient. Double click on the first color stop and pick the dark blue from here. Click on OK. Double click on the next color stop and pick the sea blue color from here. Click on OK. All right, now let us move the first color stop a little bit to the right. Now this tool is called the gradient slider. Yeah, so the gradient slider will allow you to choose colors that you want to blend in your gradient effect. All right, we will be creating another element here, but before that, select the first and second rectangle layers, like so. Then step on this anchor, drag upward, commit the transformation from here. All right, now let's add another rectangle, but this time around we'll be adding a rounded rectangle in this area. So go back to the shape tool, right click on it and choose rounded rectangle tool. Click and drag to introduce the rounded rectangle. And again, we'll be giving this same gradient effect to this new rectangle. So click on fill in the shape property box and choose gradient. My computer is running a bit slowly. Now double click on the first color stopper and select the dark blue color. Click on OK. Double click in the second color stop and pick the sea blue color from here. Click on OK. Now we want to blend our dark blue and light blue colors from the left to the right. Okay. And so I'll move my angle to this direction. And now we have it. Guys, can you see how cool that is? All right. Now let me collapse this. Activate the move tool. Then press Ctrl and A on the keyboard to create a rectangular marquee selection around the entire document. Now click on Align Horizontal Centers. Press Ctrl and D on the keyboard to select. Now let us move this element downward like so. All right. And then let us decrease the height of this rectangle a little bit. Also, we will need some space here. All right. Okay. There we go. Now it's time to insert our tests. Okay, take a look at the test I created. So let's create our very first test element. Click on the test tool. Then click in the document area. And then we will change our test color to white. Click on OK. I'll type Maxi Phone Hub. Now let's commit the changes here. All right, activate the move tool. Let us increase the size of these fonts to suit our needs. Yeah, I think this is cool. Accept the changes. Then let us align this to the center. We will be introducing another test element below the business name. Okay, so again, click on the test tool and then introduce your text box by clicking in your canvas area. Then now we will type dealers in all kinds of phones and accessories. All right, accept the changes. Click on the move tool. Press Ctrl and A on the keyboard to create a rectangular marquee selection around your document. Then click on Align Horizontal Centers. Press Ctrl and D on the keyboard to remove the selection. Alternatively, you can remove the selection by clicking on Select on the menu bar, then deselect. Now let's decrease the character spacing of this text. So click on the text tool again, then launch your character panel, and then in the line spacing field, we will decrease our text to about 0. I think this is cool. And I'll align this text, and then I'll move it upward a little bit. We can actually reduce their width. Ctrl and A, then align horizontal center. Now that you've learned how to insert tests in Photoshop, we wouldn't go through the steps again. Simply copy the first one and then paste it over this. Like this, you can purchase. Now let us select this text. Right click on its layer and choose duplicate layer. All right, click on OK. And then I'll move it over this shape. Click on the type tool, then click in the text box. Now let's type the text, the required text. You can purchase. Now go to the font size field and then decrease this font to about 6. Accept the changes, activate the move tool, press Ctrl and A, and then align this at the center. Now use the transform controls to decrease the size of this text. Like so. Now let us decrease the height of this rectangle shape. like this. At this point, I want to ensure that this text is aligned to this rounded rectangle horizontally and vertically. Okay, and so I will position my mouse cursor on the thumbnail of each layer, then give it a click, keeping the text layer active. Now click on the horizontal centers and then align vertical centers. Press Ctrl and D to remove the selection. Now let us add the contacts and location information over this rectangle. Activate the zoom tool, then activate the zoom in tool, then click in your canvas area to zoom in the entire document, like so. All right. Now we'll be adding our contact information and location information here, but we'll be using some glyphs icon for WhatsApp, call, and location. So I've got my glyph icons here, graphic designs. Then I think I've got my location glyph icons here. Yeah, this is what I'll be using. I'll click and drag this into Photoshop. Now use the transform controls to resize this element. We need to get rid of the background color. That's the white color around the glyph icon. So activate the magic eraser tool from the toolbox and then click on it. Make sure you read any message that you have been given anytime you are working in Photoshop. Now this message says that this smart object must be rasterized before proceeding. Edit content will no longer be available. Rasterize the smart object. Rasterizing objects in Photoshop means converting the object into pixel-based elements, okay, or pixel-based images, so that we can apply some formatting and editing effects like the eraser effect. We can apply the paint bucket tool on it. Then we can also use the brush and even the pencil and pen tools. Okay, so basically that is what is meant by rasterizing smart object and then vector object. Now go ahead and click on OK. Click in the white area, then click in this white area as well. Activate the move tool. Then let us resize the glyph icon. This glyph icon represents location. Now resize the icon to suit your need. I think this is cool. I need to zoom in. Now we are going to change this from black to white color. There are two approaches to undertake this activity. We can change the color using the paint bucket or from the blending modes. All right, but for the sake of time, let's use the paint bucket. Activate the paint bucket tool, then change the foreground color to white. Then give it a click. If we had not converted this object into a rasterized object or a pixel-based object, we wouldn't have been able to apply the paint bucket to it. All right. Alternatively, we can change the color of this whole glyph icon by double-clicking on its layer in the layer pane. All right. From the layer styles, click on color overlay, and we have the white color here already. So we don't have to set any color again. Okay, go ahead and click on OK. So I'll bring some guidelines one more time. So now that we have learned how to use the text tool in Adobe Photoshop, we will save time by taking our text from the already designed project. So I will come here and then select these two text layers, and then I will drag them into this new project. All right, and let me position them well, and then I'll also position this well. Now let us add our WhatsApp and then mobile number glyph icons. So I'll come back here and then fetch the phone numbers first, then I'll drag them into the new projects and I'll place them here like so. And again, I will position this well. So my smart guides and guidelines will help me carry out this with ease. Let me move them inward a little bit so as to secure some space here for the glyph icons. So I have already downloaded these icons into my downloads folder. So I'll drag them into Photoshop and place them like so. So let's accept the placement and this one as well. Now let us resize them. I just selected the two layers together so as to resize them together. We need to save some time. Let's accept the transformation. Let us resize again. I think this size is cool. Now let's bring them over the rectangle. Yeah. Now let us get rid of the background around them. But I'll zoom in. Again, we need to convert this smart object into pixel-based objects known as rasterized layers or elements. Click on the magic eraser tool, then click on the first one. And again, we are getting the message asking us whether we want to convert this smart object into rasterized objects. So that's what we want to do. Click on OK, and then we'll click to remove the background. Now this layer is for this element. Okay, click on it and then convert this to a rasterized object. Click on it to remove the selection. Now let us position them well. At this point, I'll add my pictures. So again, I have some pictures I have downloaded from the internet. So for the mobile phones, I'll be using this iPhone and this Samsung. Let us move them to Photoshop, place them, accept the placement. Now let us resize these two elements together. Again, we need to convert this smart object to pixel-based images so that we can manipulate them. We can edit them as required. Now, let me quickly chip in this. Smart objects are layers that preserve their original content. This means that if this object or element is a smart object, then it has all its original contents and properties. All right. So click on the magic eraser tool. Let's select the top layer, then click on it. Then click OK to rasterize this layer. Now let us rasterize the picture of the iPhone. Now alternatively, we can rasterize objects by right-clicking on their layers from the layer pane and then rasterize layer. So now we can edit this, resize this, and then, oh, okay, I think some portions have been left undeleted. And I'll resize this. Now, if you happen to work on any flyer for any client, you wouldn't spend this amount of time. Okay, this is just for learning purpose, and so we need to take time and go through the required steps so that we can make the best out of the lesson. All right, now we'll be adding some 3 more pictures down here. So I'll go back to my downloads folder and then choose those pictures that I want. So I'll be using this earbuds, this smartwatch, and this one. All right, so let me drag them into Photoshop. All right, we need to accept the placement for all of the 3. Let's select this together. Now you can select layers together in Photoshop by first selecting the first layer, then press down the shift key and click on the last layer. That is when the layers are together in line like this. Now let us resize them. Let me move this element down a little bit. Again, let us rasterize these elements so that we can edit them. Now I want this watch to face this direction. So I'll click on edit, then transform, and then flip horizontal. Now let us give some shadow effect to the Samsung Galaxy phone and then the iPhone. So let's do it together. Click on the first one and then double click on its layer. Then from the layer styles, choose drop shadow. Then now let's see the properties of our drop shadow. Yeah, the blend mode is multiply. I think that is cool. Then set the distance to 10 pixels, spread 20%, size 10 pixels. Click on OK. All right, then let us do same to the iPhone. Double click on the layer of the iPhone, and then from the layer styles, click on drop shadow again. Because we have already set these parameters to the first one, we will get them for the next one. Go ahead and click on OK. Now let us add some few tests. We sell, we swap, we buy. That is what I want us to do here. But we need to save some time. So let us fetch them from our first design. Yeah, I've actually grouped these test layers. So I'll press Ctrl and Alt on the keyboard to duplicate them. Then I'll move them to this document. Position them like this. We are going to create a list of phones that we deal in. Okay. Sometimes your customer wouldn't give you all this, but as a graphic designer, you need to be creative enough. All right. You need to keep your designs appealing to your customers. So you always need to appeal your customers with stunning designs. All right. Yeah, that is what you're going to be doing if you find yourself in this niche. All right. Now take a look at what I did here. This is a list of the products that are being sold. Okay. And so I have created some bullets for this list. So let us first create our bullet before fetching the text from this design. So let's go back to our document area. Let's zoom in. Then let's create the first bullet. I'm going to teach you how to do this so that we can duplicate it for the rest. Right click on the shape tool and select rectangle tool. Now let us change the fill color here to dark blue. Now let's drag. Activate the move tool. Press Ctrl and J to duplicate this. Select the first one, that is the original layer from which we copied this. And then go back to the rectangle tool, then change the fill color to light blue, like so. Activate the move tool, then move it out. Press Ctrl and H on the keyboard to hide the transform controls and your guidelines. So guys, we have created our first bullet for the first item here. We will not spend time to create new tests for the products, but we will fetch them from here. So let's click and drag to select all of them. Now let us take them to our projects, place them like this, and position them like so. Yeah, now that we have learned how to create bullet in Photoshop, we can delete what we just created and then position this list well. Let's move down this text like this. But there is something we can add to these layers, to this object. Okay, we can give them some shadow effects beneath them. All right, and we will use the elliptical mercury tool. So click on it, set your feather to 5 pixels, then click and drag. Now we are going to create this shadow from a new layer. Select the very last layer here and then new layer from the layer pane. Now we need to use the paint bucket to fill this elliptical mercury selection with whatever color we have for the foreground color. But you'll be using this color, and so click on the foreground and then pick the gray color from here. Then let's darken this a bit. Click on OK. Activate your paint bucket tool and click in the selection. Press Ctrl and D to remove the selection. Activate the move tool. Then let's move this inward a little bit. Hit enter on the keyboard to accept the changes. Now let us duplicate this layer for this. Right click on each layer from the layer pane and select duplicate layer. Now let's move it down here. Can you see our final project is beautiful? Yes. So this is how you can design flyers for any product. All right. If you enjoyed this video and have learned something new, then kindly subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave your comment, share the video, and more importantly, smash the notification bell so that you can always be notified anytime I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video.